Hello, explorers, and welcome to a quick 15 to 20-minute snippet about the latest news coming out of the Star Wars universe. Before we start, we just want to send all our condolences and thoughts with those that are affected over in LA. Check out our Instagram story if you're interested and want to help those that have been affected. So, what we on for now, Jimmy? Take us away, buddy.
Yeah, so we got big rumors. I think Charlie, you said the Hollywood Reporter broke this news.
The news was originally released by a gentleman called Jeff Snyder, who, if you're familiar with Star Wars leaks, news, and rumors, you most likely recognize their name. And it was sort of floating around for a little bit, and then quite quickly afterwards, the Hollywood Reporter confirmed it.
So it is not a rumor.
No, not
All
anymore.
right.
No more Star Wars rumors.
No more Star Wars rumors. All right. So what we got basically, and everyone will understand why I asked everyone to come online and do this because this is kind of important to me. One of my favorite characters. But ever since the passing of Ray Stevens and before Ahsoka even came out, still kind of, I don't know about you guys. We were all at Celebration, yeah.
Yep.
And it was so weird that we saw him on the stage, and then what, a month and a half, 2 months later, he'd passed. I mean, he looked fit, he looked great. Uh,
Yeah.
a hunky man, if you will, good looking fella, looked healthy. And then, we get the news that he passed away before Ahsoka starts, and we're all kind of wondering, like, what's this character going to be like? And then, of course, we get Baylan Skoll. And
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what it is about this character, but I have been in love ever since the first time he opens his mouth and just says, his little quips, the way it's all about the delivery, I think. And that's where,
Yeah.
um, for me, and of course, we've been wondering. And so, like you said, Charlie, Rory McCann, 6'6" Scottish actor, famous for being the Hound in the Game of Thrones and the porridge guy from some Scottish porridge commercials back in the day. I think he was in Hot Fuzz as well. There's some other things
Yeah.
he was part of, but he will be Baylan Skoll for season 2 of Ahsoka. And honestly, when I first heard this last night, now granted, Penn State had just lost to Notre Dame right at the end, so I wasn't in the best of moods. But this has been something that I've been thinking about for a long time. And who did you guys, before we get started with these two, who did you guys think was going to replace, or one, did you think they were going to replace them? Or did you think they were just going to kind of write him out of the story? And if you did think they were going to replace him, who was your first pick, I guess? So, Charlie, where did you stand? Because, we didn't really know each other during this time period. So this will be fun learning what you thought about Baylan Skoll.
Obviously, like a lot of Star Wars fans that I've spoken to who loved the Ahsoka series, Baylan seems to have really stuck with so many people. Such an impactful character, such a presence on screen that you kind of is unforgettable. And obviously, I was devastated at Rey's passing. And initially, I thought they won't recast. They will write it out of the story. They'll do it in a respectful, kind of a good way that honors his memory, and they will just move on. But obviously, this recast and the news of it coming quite suddenly definitely feels like Baylan's character is really essential to the plot of season 2 of Ahsoka. There must be some really big stuff going on for them to have taken the time to recast. I've also heard that Snyder mentioned briefly, I think, in a quote that this role, this passing on of this role, came with the blessing of Ray's widow. I'm not 100% sure how accurate that is, but if that's true, that makes it feel special. I believe Ray and Roy were friends,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so it makes it feel like the kind of passing of the torch is important. It's for the purpose of something. I'm excited. I genuinely am. And regarding my initial cast, I saw lots of suggestions thrown around. The two of which I most enjoyed were Gerard Butler and Russell Crowe. I feel like both of them similar facially, similar energies, kind of that big presence on screen. It needed that. But this is a little left field, but I'm excited.
All right, Jack, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm the same as Charlie. I didn't think that they recast this at all. I thought they'd sort of write it out the story, but I totally agree that Ray Stevenson was such a massive influence, and Baylan Skoll such a pivotal part of the Ahsoka art. It has to be recast, I think. I've got lots of theories about Ahsoka too. One of them being, I think, he might be going off to sort of make his own Jedi Order / Sith Order or whatever it is, sort of thing that he's doing. So I think as well with casting Rory McCann, I think it's a perfect fit. Looks wise, very similar accents. I know Ray Simpson was Northern Irish and Rory McCann's Scottish, but I think he'll fit straight in there. Obviously, like you've mentioned, he's famous for Game of Thrones being the Hound. So I think Baylan Skoll and the Hound are very similar. Just that the Hound probably swears a lot and is a lot more aggressive due to the TV series.
And
So
yeah,
it's just going to be a watered down version of the Hound.
yeah, that's the thing too. And I, I wasn't sure what they were going to do. I am still torn, even though I'm growing to this, having watched a few clips this morning, and I'll show one before we leave here. But this guy was not even in the radar of all these people who were like, because Liev Schreiber was the one I thought was going to be the go-to. I thought he would hit it. Baylan's just such a big presence. Ray was such a big presence on screen. Literally, I mean, 6'3". They went out and they get an actor who's 6'6". So you're not gonna lose any of that presence. It's gonna be, for me, it's gonna be the delivery of the of all the, it's just the way he delivered it was like one word or two words. I mean, sometimes he would say, and then he would go on these long rants. I'm gonna show one of them, not the whole thing, but yeah, the more I watch this, I'm down for it. I get it. The story has to go on. We have to move forward. I mean, didn't replace Princess Leia, but if they used footage of after she's passed, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's above that. But so here, because first I'm gonna play Ray, and then we're gonna talk about the Hound for a second, because I mean, I think that's where he's most famous from. But here's just a short clip of Ray delivering what Ray does as Baylan Skoll.
As you get older, look at history. You realize it's all inevitable. Fall of the Jedi, rise of the Empire. It repeats again and again and again.
So, I mean, just a short example of, there's a video out, someone made it, I don't know who, it's all his speaking parts, and I probably just turn that on every once in a while, just listen to him speak. But he just delivers that with such, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is. You know what I mean? Like, just how smooth he delivers it, and just to the point, but yet there's so much behind it. And then, of course, we get the news last night that the Hound, when you think of the Hound, you think of murder, the F word, the C word, every other word that could be said. Game of Thrones and Star Wars are not real similar when it comes to language and violence and things like that. But I did find this, and I will say that, and I also want to thank our Facebook community as well, because, my post was, the new Baylan Skoll, I'm not sure I'm feeling it. And everybody, not adding me, not yelling at me, just said, hey, I feel like this is why he'll be good. And we had a lot of people hop on there, Lacey and Danielle, Darren, Joe Overton, just everybody that usually is really active on there. So I want to say thank you to everybody, because it's like, all right, well, let me see what these people see. I'm not going to be one of those closed-minded Star Wars, well, it's not my way, so and I found this clip, and I did cut it up a little bit because I don't want to get in trouble by YouTube, but I'll play this. This is the Hound with Arya, and this is, of course, towards the end of the seasons. He's becomes a lot more human during this stretch. I think it's one of the biggest changes in Game of Thrones, character-wise, So here's a real short clip of him with Arya right before the end, kind of.
Go home, go. Fire will get her. One of the Dothraki. You think you wanted revenge a long time? I've been after it all my life. It's all I care about. And look at me. Look at me! You want to be like me?
That scene right there, I was like, I mean, I kind of got goosebumps, like right down my back, just listening to him. I'm like, he could talk to Shin that way. Do you know what I mean? Like, he can have a conversation with Shin. And so I think I'm on board. I think this is great, with makeup. And I know, like Lacey said, like, Rip from Yellowstone, like I didn't even realize what actor that was, how well they do, because when I found out I don't know if you guys watch Yellowstone over there or not, but it's like a huge Western kind of thing over here. Kevin Costner. Yeah, it's worth. I always called it Sons of Anarchy on horses. I mean, it's really kind of just as crazy as Sons of Anarchy was. Yeah, but there's a character in a Rip who's really important to the show, but I had no idea that it was the actor that it is. So I mean, they can do a lot with prosthetics and things like that, and I just hope they have a better wig than Luke had on during The Force Awakens or The Rise of Skywalker.
You leave Luke and his wigs alone.
But yeah, so I don't know. Like I think that I'm around it. I'm kind of excited for this. It's really kind of came out of nowhere. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels like it's been a long time since we've had like this rumor or this news, right? Like even since before Skeleton Crew, maybe even before Acolyte, I can't really think of like a rumor or any really like exciting news that has popped up.
Right.
Everything's been kind of negative. This isn't happening, or this is being delayed, or this is being moved. This is
They're not slowing down.
Yeah, so this has been the kind of the first thing that says, hey, this is still tracking. We're good to go. We've got another season. Any guesses on to what you think Baylan will do, of the new Baylan, Rory McCann will do in the season?
Not a Scooby-Doo from me. It makes sense that it's Rory McCann though so much, because you look at like sword fighting abilities, he's just come from the Game of Thrones. Where else are you going to wield a sword? So he's set for the lightsaber stuff straight away. And if you close your eyes on both of those scenes, they pretty much sound quite similar as well. Like you mentioned there, the makeup, it's all nailed. So yeah, it makes sense. It's the perfect fit. And like you just said then, Jimmy, we know that the Mandalorian movie's finished, unofficially filming. And it just shows now the focus is on Ahsoka too. Dave Filoni is not slowing down. Star Wars is not slowing down. So hopefully, come Star Wars Celebration, we might get a little bit of something. Who knows?
Nice.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Charlie, any final thoughts on Baylan or Rory coming in?
Like I said earlier, I think I was initially surprised, but when I think back to watching Game of Thrones, because when it was coming out, I was in it, I was deep in it. And obviously, the end of this, like the whole series, was just not the best, and there were issues and there were difficulties. But for all of the characters that stuck with me, the Hound was one that stayed with me for his story arc, his character development, the acting, the physical acting, the prosthetic, all of it stuck with me, and I'm almost so excited to see him come into Star Wars in this role. I'm hoping we see aggression. I'm hoping we see more like that sword fighting, that choreography. That would be super cool. I think I'm excited. I think I'm really excited.
Yeah, Jack, that was another good point you guys both brought up too, though, the sword fighting, because like Baylan was almost broadswording his lightsaber when he fights Ahsoka. It's all these power moves, all these like from Jedi Survivor when you had the so the more I think about it, I'm glad we had this talk. Again, thanks to everyone on Facebook. I love our community, because I wasn't being screamed at. I was being like, people were like, hey, this is why we think it might work. And then, not being a closed-minded idiot, I read their thoughts. And I did what you said, Jack. I closed my eyes when I listened to Baylan, and then I closed my eyes when I was listening to the Hound. And I was like, all right, this might work. This might just work.
Yeah.
No one will ever replace Ray. And, it's really special. And it's going to be one of the things I regret forever, is not getting to meet Ray, him not getting to see the love. Can you imagine what it would have been like for him at Star Wars Celebration after Ahsoka's success? Like, and just even people who didn't like Ahsoka loved Baylan. He would have been an absolute rock star in Japan. So I just hope wherever, he gets to see how much we've, his family can feel the love, at least, that we've given them. So, but I think
that's the good thing about the community that we've got. I know we've had loads of people join us. I know we released the 2K thing this week as well. Anyone that's interested, get on it. Honestly, Explore the Force, one word: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube. Get on there, get on this community, because there's nearly 500 of us on there. It's super engaging. There's people posting stuff all the time. So yeah, highly recommend, obviously.
All right. Okay. Well, I want to thank you both for hopping on with me today. I had a snow day, so I had nothing going on. I do have to head out for practice here shortly, but for all of us, we have spoken. We'll see you guys next week.
Baylan is coming.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?